Holy God, it's cold out here. Oh.
I'm freezing my balls off over here.
I don't know why we were sent here.
I mean, there was some alleged misuse of property, and a friend of the pod, Elon Musk, sent us up here to take some scientific measurements, but all that I can measure around here seems to be the below zero temperature.
I can barely move.
It's so fucking cold. Bro, you should have just fucking left the goddamn fucking helmet on.
Yep.
We wouldn't be in this goddamn situation. I wouldn't be freezing my goddamn fucking balls off.
Allegedly.
Snot's sticking to my fucking face. This is all your goddamn fault we're here.
Logan, the beard looks good, man.
Hey guys, what's up?
Yeah, man, I do dig the beard.
Ugh.
Sure looks like it's keeping you warm.
Yeah, it is. It's really itchy though, man. Oh, God. Oh, you know what? I think I gotta get out of this cold and go put on some new long johns. These things are getting annoying.
All right, well, we'll meet you inside. We're just gonna go in, all right?
Yeah, hurry up. Just get this door open.
Kick this thing out.
So you are afraid of something else. You'll go to bed sometimes.
You don't know what death
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
is. Welcome to the madness.
We are the Mouths of Madness, your new favorite podcast for horror movie reviews. We're coming to you live tonight from Outpost 69 here in Antarctica. We were sent here by good friend of the podcast, Elon Musk, to watch his research facility and take some measurements as a punishment. If you remember in our episode 14 on Event Horizon, we had a little spaceship mishap. We broke code X253HRC. Basically, Bearclaw went mad and destroyed the SS Insania control
Allegedly.
panel. Well, he expresses his remorse, right, Bearclaw?
I regret nothing.
And we express agitation for him not keeping his helmet on. But anyways, this is our episode 27 on the 1982 John Carpenter's The Thing. My name is Kevin, and let me go around and introduce you to the other crew members. First, we have Dan. Dan, you're looking a little cold over there.
I hate it here. I don't want to be at Outpost 69 with you or Bearclaw or Logan right now. I want out of this fucking place. I don't care. The only thing that's keeping me happy right now is this J&B whiskey. They don't even have anything to keep us entertained. This MS-DOS bullshit chess computer thing. What the fuck is this thing?
Here, let me pour you another drink.
Give me some. I need some more booze.
Here. All right, next, we have the mayor of Icetown. It's Bearclaw.
I, for one, think you're all having a very negative opinion about this whole situation. I've rather enjoyed the chess machine. It has been an excellent coaster for my J&B scotch.
Kevin, can you make sure he doesn't get any more J&B alcohol?
Oh my goodness.
Cut his ass off.
It's a little chilly here, but fortunately we've all grown some pretty manly beards. So look on the bright side. I think we're all looking quite dashing out here in this winter wonderland.
Bearclaw, my teeth are chattering. And finally, we have the youngest member of Madness, my son Logan. Logan? Wait a minute, where is he? He's not back yet?
Yeah, we told him be 45 minutes when you start recording.
Yeah.
Where is he?
Where'd he go?
Oh, hey guys, what's going on? Oh my God, it's so cold in here. My nipples could get diamonds. Jesus.
Ooh.
What's going on, guys? I was tending to the dogs. You starting the podcast?
Wait, you have to go change your long johns?
I'm pretty sure I still have them on, and goddamn, they're itchy.
But I didn't.
Yeah.
You just came in from tending the. Wait.
Guys, stop the gaslighting. I was outside. I'm here now. It's okay. You don't have to lie about things. I'm here now. That's all that matters.
Well, there are a lot of other great horror movie podcasts out there, but what separates us from the other ones is that we're going to be giving you the older versus younger generation perspective. Myself, Dan, and Bearclaw were all born in the 1980s, while my son Logan was born in the early 2000s. So this is the clash of the generations. Without any further ado, grab your flamethrower, pull up a chair, hold on to your straitjacket tight, and let's dive into the madness. We watched The Thing from 1982. The screenplay was written by Bill Lancaster. It was famously directed by John Carpenter. It's also a remake of the 1951 The Thing from Another World, which, funny enough, was seen in Halloween from 1978 playing on the TV. So kind of a cool little, what's that, a 6th degree of separation?
Oh.
Now, this is based on the novella by John W. Campbell Jr. from 1938 called Who Goes There? The Thing stars Kurt Russell in the lead role as R.J. McCready, and also stars Keith David as Childs. Now, did you also catch Wilford Brimley? And we know him famously from the diabetes commercials, right?
Talk about my diabetes.
Diabetes.
I'm Wilford Brimley, and I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes about diabetes.
This had a mustacheless Wilford Brimley, though.
Which I can't condone.
No. He needed the stash.
Stash was a big part of him.
Now, this was a pretty big ensemble cast. Do you want to go through some of the characters that were in this?
Yeah, I mean, there's like 12 of them, so it can be hard to keep track. I have acquired the Bill Lancaster character description, so we're going to go around the room and read them off to you guys. So first we have McCready, 35, helicopter pilot, likes chess, hates the cold, pay is good. Gary, 46, the station manager, stiff, ex-Army officer, wears a handgun. Childs, 33, 6'4", 250, black, mechanic, can be jolly, but don't mess.
And that's the T. Blair, 50, senior biologist, edgy, inquisitive, overworked, Brimley, diabetes.
Diabetes.
Fuchs, 25, sensitive, intelligent, unassuming, an assistant biologist. Dr. Copper, 45, professional, a decent man, a good doctor.
I like how Dr. Copper is described as professional, even though he's got a nose ring in the movie. Palmer, 27, second string chopper pilot, crack mechanic, long hair, slight 60s acid damage. It is kind of good. I liked when he was like, "Oh, okay, guys, I'll fly you up there," and they're like, "No way, Palmer." And he's like, "Well, thanks for thinking about it, guys."
Shit, Doc, I'll give you the lift. No problem. Forget it, Palmer. Hey, thanks for thinking about it, though.
Knowles, the cook, bright, black, irreverent, but kind-hearted, roller skates. He definitely had roller skates. And then Norris, 44, stocky, rugged-looking, a geophysicist, an incipient heart condition. Pretty straightforward.
Bennings, 38, a meteorologist, dutiful, an old pro.
That's the description.
Did I pronounce it?
He seems dutiful.
Yeah, I guess
Dutiful.
so.
Especially when that thing was like destroying him and tearing him apart and is screaming in the darkness. He seemed dutiful.
Clark, 24, the dog handler, likes it here. Good at his job. Sanchez.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Sanchez, 21, the radio operator, hates it here. Lousy at his job.
Is Sanchez Windows?
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
that would be Windows.
All right.
That makes sense.
He has his Mac and Windows computer.
What a crew. Now, The Thing had a budget of $15 million. Do you know how much it made at the box office?
I'll take a crack at this. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to do a safe bet. I'm going to say they at least made their money back, and I'm going to go $15 million.
So 15 and 15.
15 and 15, because my understanding is, in my research I came across, and maybe, I don't know whether this crosses cheating, because I didn't see any official numbers, but I heard, to my astonishment, that it wasn't a hit.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a hit movie. I figure they at least made their money back.
Okay.
Though.
$1.69. No, I'm just kidding. Well, maybe. I'll go a nice cumbersome 25.
25 million.
Fuck E.T. It's the reason why this movie tanked. I'm going to give it 14 million.
So Bearclaw's the closest. The Thing made $19.9 million.
I was going to go 22, but I went over.
Yeah, pretty close. Pretty close. Unfortunately, like Dan said, E.T. came out a few weeks before The Thing, which really had a...
I mean, E.T. was a good movie, too. That was a real horror movie, man.
Yeah, I mean, E.T. scares a lot of people.
E.T. scared the crap out of me,
I
especially
will
when
say
like the government agents
scare
and stuff.
No, the E.T. alien itself scared the crap out of me as a kid.
That too. I had a bank that my mom made in ceramics that used to stare at me at night.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, that does sound terrifying.
It was.
That is scary. I don't like The Thing. But like E.T. is like, Makes sense. Hey, look, it's very similar. There's both deathly
Deathly aliens?
Deathly aliens. One likes Reese's and the other likes absorbing human beings. Kind of the same thing.
And dogs. But also, with E.T., The Thing had a lot of bad reviews at the time when it came out.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
Because the fundamentals of the movie are fantastic.
Right.
Well, our friend Roger Ebert had a very
Roger
unkind
Ebert is not
thing
my
to say. he said, quote, "The Thing is basically just a geek show, a gross out movie in which teenagers can dare one another to watch the
But a
screen."
lot of people who see it will be made sick by it.
I think that's probably an understatement. I would call this the barf bag movie of July. I have some problems with it.
Yeah, don't address him as my friend ever again.
Yeah. Did he see the movie?
Well, that's what I was wondering too, because he doesn't get it if that was his.
Yeah. If that was his
opinion.
interpretation, he wasn't paying attention.
That's a hot take, but it's a fair one if you haven't seen the damn movie.
That's a good point.
He is paid to see the movies, though.
Yeah, I mean, when your sole job is to see the movie.
You know what he probably did? He probably zoned out, probably put it on in the background, and then just what's going on? Okay, let me go back to my work.
This is a horror picture?
He did not watch it because that is not a fair description of this movie. That's a fair description for a guy who was barely paying attention.
Well, this is John Carpenter's favorite movie that he has directed, but the backlash of the film kind of made him sour on filmmaking overall.
Arguably his best movie.
It is. That's the crazy thing about it.
I would argue that it's his best movie.
Well, we might have some hot takes later, Bearclaw, to talk about.
We do have some hot takes, but I don't know. I might have just come up with my new one.
Ooh. Well, currently on Rotten Tomatoes, The Thing has an 85% critic score and a 92% audience score. This is certified fresh. Let's give you our overall thoughts on The Thing. Dan, start us off.
So this was a movie I hadn't seen in its entirety until I was a young adult. This was one of those movies where it was always on the weekends, as a Saturday matinee on a cable network, and I always would manage to just catch it about halfway through it. So I'd always get the blood test part or the dogs would always be this vivid memory for me of The Thing. But it wasn't until later in life that I got to see it. I love just the whole premise of it to me is pure nightmare fuel. It has everything I hate. I don't like being cold.
Being cold.
Being cold is the worst fucking thing in the world.
Would you rather be in Antarctica or would you be stranded in the desert?
I feel
100% Antarctica.
Yeah,
I take Antarctica. It depends on what you have, though. If you have the necessary tools for both, I guess you could survive.
I don't know. The desert's pretty brutal.
I don't even want to answer that question.
I don't even
both
wanna think
suck.
about
I mean,
that.
both
Yeah.
suck. Don't get me wrong.
I think I would take the desert, as awful as it sounds. At least I wouldn't be shivering, and that's the one thing I fucking hate more than anything in the world.
I guess, yeah.
is shivers. It's that. Then you add in this alien organism, that can get inside to where you're safe and warm. It's the worst thing in the world. It's pure nightmare fuel for me. I like just the overall premise of it. It's a whodunit meets body horror meets creature feature. The effects are just out of this world, and just the creative. Yeah, just the creativity just to think of some of this shit. The defibrillator scene where the guy's chest becomes a mouth.
I don't think I've seen better practical effects than I've seen in this movie. I don't know of
Another
any
hot
movie
take,
that would go toe to toe with this
This is
movie.
made in 1982. I haven't seen an 80s movie with effects like this, that are as awesome or that come across as alive.
Yeah. And the funny thing, we mentioned the effects. That's how I came to this movie. I'd never seen anything about it before, but I used to watch when I was younger, and this is how I came to most horror movies, truth be told, is I used to watch a lot of those FX shows, where they would talk about the movie's special effects and how they did it. And it used to, I forget what the show was. It was Hollywood FX or was the name of the show, but this was always, it was always used as here's how to
standard.
do it. Yeah, it was the standard, the gold standard for it. Still is, I'd argue.
And that's the thing. It's all practical too.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the wildest part to me.
Like when his head separates.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's all rubber bands and
yeah.
gum. Goo.
Even some masters today that try and compare to that, like the Terrifier series, still doesn't hold up a candle to that.
I don't know. I give the Terrifier folks some credit. Their practical effects are pretty awesome.
Just not as clean though.
Think about this though. The practical effects artist Rob Bottin was 21 years old when he did this movie.
That's
21.
So what you're telling me is Ebert is an ageist.
He could be.
I remember seeing something. Didn't he stay up didn't he work like 80-hour weeks? Like and then another
Yes.
guy stepped in.
Yeah, so he got very sick with double pneumonia.
Ooh.
And because he took everything on himself in this movie, like everything was his baby, but he ended up enlisting famous effects artist Stan Winston to help with the designs.
I also heard that the production was delayed because of actual inclement weather, and it allowed them to like work out and iron out some more details for the set pieces and things.
Yeah, I think that actually helped. And I think, one of the key things of this movie that goes into effects and the atmosphere, which I'm sure we'll get into, is the cinematographer Dean Cundey coming over with John Carpenter again from Halloween, did The Fog. I mean, this guy's work is really good.
You know who else came over from the Halloweens? The Dick Warlock.
Dick Warlock.
The Dick Warlock.
A shadow on the wall.
Why does that sound like a freaking like
porn name?
Yeah.
You know what? That reminds me.
For a
I
wizard.
didn't get a chance to look it up. Did you guys look up at all? I know Dick Warlock does do stunts on this. Did he do the firewalk in this movie?
Probably.
You know what?
Because he did the firewalk famously in Halloween too.
Yeah. I feel like...
Hold on. Let me get on the chess master here and see what I can figure out.
Pop it in.
I feel like you would have Dick Warlock on your set to set him on fire, so that does make sense.
Yeah, I would think that too, for sure.
All I'm getting is Fire Walk with Me, the Twin Peaks movie.
Was Dick Warlock in that too?
Probably
Dick
not.
Warlock does like all the fire stunts.
Still haven't seen them.
You know what I saw in my research too is the 1951's The Thing from Another World had the first firewalk stunt at the time. That was like, somebody on fire walking. So that's pretty crazy.
Hold on, the computer is figuring this out. Nathan, put in some computer sounding, some old computer sounds here.
Some beeps, some bops,
some beeps
boops.
and boops, and like maybe like a hard
noise.
drive skipping. No, Dick Warlock did not perform a firewalk for the 1982 film The Thing, but he was the shadow on the wall. He played the Palmer thing, and he played a stunt double for Kurt Russell.
Oh, okay. Whoa, that's pretty cool.
Dick Warlock, the Dick.
The Dick Warlock.
Dick, I mean, he's like almost a member of Madness at this point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Bearclaw, how about you? What's your overall thoughts on The Thing?
There's so many. I'm over.
Line of ideas.
Can you narrow it down a little
I'm
bit,
overwhelmed with emotions.
We're cold out here.
I'm feeling. I understand we're all cold, but there's something growing inside me that I think is gonna.
Why are you like the Grinch growing like 3 sizes?
My love of horror grew 3 sizes that day when I first saw this movie. No, I mean it really is to me like. I mean, you're talking about a movie that mixes in, even at its fundamentals. I mean, I know it mentions the story Who Goes There, but even Who Goes There takes from the Mountains of Madness, like that isolation, that Arctic explorers. I mean, it's got that very Lovecraftian feel to it. It is one of those movies that, in my mind, it captures the feeling of paranoia. One of the things that I think is interesting about this movie is people will find a way to support how this movie is about just about everything because it so encapsulates the feeling of paranoia that it's almost like the Platonic like paranoia. And, there's some people who said, oh, well, this movie could have been related to the AIDS epidemic that was happening at the time. You've got an all-men cast. There's blood tests, and the timing of the movie was around when the AIDS epidemic was happening. And there was an extreme paranoia about this. I think you could say that. I've heard some other folks say fear of feminism or reduction of masculinity. The woman is a computer, and he's very negative towards it. But there's also like the loss of manhood or humanhood. I don't say I necessarily agree with this or sure that it has a lot of legs. I'm just saying I've heard this postulated. But, you know, there's also the fear of the other, which is kind of, unfortunately, Howard Lovecraft there was a horrific racist, and don't support that in any way, shape, or form. But, you know, there's that Shadows over Innsmouth where, you know, you're transforming, your pure whatever is transforming due to some type of infectious something coming in. And I think you could even to go as far as like a new one is, you could say that this movie represents a fear of AI maybe in our society, like artificial intelligence, and how our artificial intelligence is kind of slowly replacing us and maybe replacing jobs that we used to do, and not knowing who you're working with, who's on the other end of that telephone on customer service. Are you even talking to somebody, you know, or are you talking to their quote unquote replacement? But this movie so encapsulates paranoia that you can almost frame it in many different ways and it'll still work. And that's what the genius of this movie. So, I mean, that's what I love about it is, you know, everything from, you know, them finding the flying saucer to the thing, the game of who's who. And I absolutely love how John Carpenter knows the answer, but has never brought it to resolution of what has happened. And I hope nobody ever brings it to resolution, because
it would lose its relevancy.
It's perfect the way that it is. Yeah. And like I mentioned before too, and this will be my last point and then we'll move on, but the practical effects in this are just, I mean, just seeing that head tear off of the body in the Norris death scene. I mean, you see every vein, every green pustule popping out, and the head spreads spider legs. I mean, and like the thing just bursting out of his chest. And I mean, there's just the visuals in this movie are so terrifying and visceral and realistic looking. I mean, it's just a true masterpiece. And you know, later I'll talk about this in hot takes, but I think probably John Carpenter's best work.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you said is undeniable. I mean, when we've already hit on it a bunch of times, these effects, I think, hold up today. You know, I know, yes, there's a couple stop motion things here and there that are a little whatever, but I think when CGI is done great, I'm not a CGI hater. Our producer, Nathan, I mean, he's shown me like CGI, when it's done well, you don't know it's done. But I just think when you see these practical effects on screen, it's like nothing compares to this. You know, it really takes over the screen.
What do you think about it, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this movie, like you said, the paranoia aspect is the biggest thing. I think it's human nature. This is a human nature horror movie, right? Because there's the alien concept of the thing taking over and consuming and, you know, and duplicating what it consumes and things like that. But I mean, it's human nature. It's paranoia. Who's the thing? And what I love about this movie is trying to figure out who's the thing as the viewer.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to notice differences. You know, where's this character when this scene's happening? Things like that. So I think as a viewer, it's a fun watch.
Oh, definitely.
And, you know, being out in the cold, isolated. Sorry, Dan, but the cold weather, man, just brings this movie, I think, to a new atmosphere, because I think you are so isolated and you are vulnerable because the warm spots and the place that you want to retreat to are not safe either in this movie. Nowhere is safe. Outside is not safe. And I gotta talk about it because my favorite scenes in this movie are the visuals of them being outside. You know, even the snow, Kurt Russell as McCready with the big floppy hat in the snow, but also at night. And when they light those flares, yeah, and the color scheme off of those. I think Dean Cundy with his cinematography, it's so perfect because you get like the purple and the reds and the blues.
Which is interesting because there's a lot of the same like hues and colorizations in like the Thing body itself.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's almost like a duplicate of what's going on. So, I mean, I love this movie. I hadn't seen it in a long time, so I'm super happy that we're covering it because it forced me to see it again. And there's a lot of John Carpenter movies that I haven't seen or haven't seen in a while. So it's so cool to go back because I gotta say, John Carpenter is probably my favorite director. I mean, I just love his body of work so far from what I've seen.
And have you heard of this as being part of the Apocalypse trilogy?
Yes. Yeah. So this is, right, what's the other two with the Thing?
Prince of Darkness.
Yep.
And, of course, the one that we named our podcast after, In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah.
I still have not seen Prince of Darkness.
I have
Great
the
movie.
Blu-ray special edition. We will have to pop it in.
But listen, I want to get to our youngest member of Madness, Logan. Logan, this is your first time watching The Thing, is it not?
Yeah.
What are your overall thoughts?
I don't like it. It wasn't for me. I mean, it's hard for me to sit here and like say it because like it is a very good movie. Like I will give it its props. It is a very entertaining movie. Like you said, it's fun. It's not really a whodunit, but like it kind of is with the new atmosphere, like of like who's the thing.
Right.
Like of like trying to figure it out. That's fun. The psychological horror of it, I like it a lot. It's just it loses me a lot with just too many characters. The oversaturation of just like, okay, I'm gonna tie you down, do this. It's like they're doing way too much stuff at the moment where I'm like, I'm losing interest in it because it's taking too long. There's too much exposition going on. There's too much of this. There's too much running around and doing all this stuff. It's a whole lot of stuff. I get like it is a great concept. It just doesn't work for me. I'm not into I'm not into alien stuff as much. Alien stuff is very hard for me to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even while I was watching, like, one of the greatest movies, like, I will say it's one of my favorite horror movies, Alien. I had, like, wild, like, expectations for it, and it definitely, like, blew it out of the park, but it's still, for me, like, alien movies are very hard for me to like, because it's very out there. I'm not into outer space stuff. Outer space just isn't my kind of movie. So when you bring into an alien, yes, it's on Earth, it's on, like stranded area. I think it's really good, brings it to a whole new atmosphere, but I don't know. I just don't like it. I don't know. It's hard for me to say because it's like, it is a very good movie.
Did it feel dated to you at all?
No, it's not even that.
Okay.
Like, because Kurt Russell's freaking awesome.
Did watching it for you feel laborsome?
Yeah, I felt like I was just...
That's what I'm getting from
Yeah, and I hate to say it because Halloween's a great movie. I just don't like John Carpenter.
Okay.
I don't like John Carpenter. I'm not into his movies.
Editor's note, Logan has been grounded for making these comments.
The only real movie I really liked from him was Halloween and maybe Big
Just
Trouble.
save that for the hot take.
Big Trouble Little China. Great
I'm getting
movie.
sweaty in here.
I do really like Big Trouble Little China. That's another good one. But like other than that, I'm not into it.
I gotta take some of these layers off, Bearclaw.
This is your son, Kevin. You gotta talk.
I'm not cold anymore.
And hey, I hate to say it, but a lot of you horror fans are bandwagons, you know.
Ooh.
With a lot of directors and movies that you like, just because it's by a certain director or it's in like a similar genre to movies.
Isn't A24 like your favorite brand of cinema?
Dan's red right now.
A24 is like the only like form of horror cinema out right now.
Down to
really.
a long
Like
John's
big,
here, guys. That's
big
how hot
stream.
this take is.
Woo!
Pass that
I don't
JB.
like
I got another JB here.
I need another round of J.
Hang on.
I'm just saying because
Fill her up.
Hang on.
okay, here's the thing though. I never go into a movie thinking it's good just because of a director. The only movie I've ever done that with was Nosferatu. And that's only because I watched the original Nosferatu and I liked it. John Carpenter's different for me because I've seen multiple John Carpenter movies and I just don't like his style. There's many horror movies that I'm like, this director's good. They only do like one or two movies and that's it. But like the big stream directors, I'm not a real big fan of because like they're very like the same movie or they have like
Their style.
Yeah, they're always the same style with their movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that. I agree with you. I think there is a certain style, and John Carpenter has a style. And it brings me to my next point, though. The music in this movie, right? John Carpenter is known for kind of his scores of movies and his synth.
I think this makes it good.
This music wasn't a lot, right?
No, it was very subtle, which surprises me because it was Ennio Morricone who did it.
Yes.
And he's not known for subtlety. I don't know if you guys have seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but
yeah. Spaghetti Western.
Not for nothing, but that fucking little like bass line, that bump, it's not
effective.
Subtle.
Yeah.
it's not really subtle.
It's not Marconi, though.
Is it? Yeah, I mean,
it's
is it
John
stripped?
Carpenter.
It's stripped for
so
sure.
John Carpenter actually didn't use a lot of what Marconi had.
I get what you're saying.
He actually, John Carpenter himself went back and scored a lot of this movie, including that boom, 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 boom. And because he wanted it to be more atmospheric and not take over the movie as like a separate kind of character, you know. But he did use a lot of Marconi's score within. And what's ironic is I saw that there's like over an hour of the score he didn't use for this. And it was like recycled in The Hateful Eight.
Yeah, I heard about. I also heard that. Wasn't it like also? Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah, that was that.
It was the music.
Because I couldn't believe when I read that.
I want a horror movie Western.
Have you seen The Hateful Eight?
I know, but like I want more. I want
Did you
more.
like? Here's an interesting question. Did you like The Hateful Eight?
I liked it.
Did you watch the extended cut on Netflix?
No.
Oh, definitely check
The
that
Hateful
out.
Eight. It's like my father-in-law's.
Yeah,
it's a really awesome.
I love that movie too.
I mean, there's one movie that you did mention, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I mean, that's a great movie, but I like A Fistful of Dollars.
What are some of your favorite scenes in this? Because I think Dan had mentioned something that is like by far my favorite scene when the defibrillator goes into his chest, right? And boom, it's like a mouth and takes his hands. I just thought that for me, like there are some classic jump scares in this movie, but they're almost earned because you're waiting for something to happen and the tension's built because of the paranoia.
I think my favorite scene, or one of my favorite scenes, because I think this movie is comprised of my favorite scenes, is the blood test scene.
You see, when a man bleeds, it's just tissue. But blood from one of you things won't obey when it's attacked. It'll try and survive.
Definitely is an awesome scene.
How palpable is that when he's sticking that wire into the blood? And like, you almost feel this comfort, but maybe that comfort isn't earned in its entirety, but more on that later.
One of my favorite scenes is obviously when Brimley goes ape shit and starts destroying things.
Yeah.
I was
And
like,
he's like, I'll kill you.
I'll kill you.
I was like
greatest.
cheering him on too. I was like, yeah, strand that monster. No radio contact.
I got a question for you. At that point, when he's destroying everything, he's still a human, right?
I think so.
Maybe. Well, there's a cool fan fiction story that that Dan and I read.
Oh, great.
Called well, it's fan fiction, but by a very established science fiction author, Peter Watts, where it's called The Thing, which is all about this story from the perspective of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
It's so cool listening to it. He, you know, how he discovers humans, what he thinks about, or what, yeah, I say he, I guess I'm putting it, what it thinks about humans, our anatomy and physiology. And it's like, you guys are so simple and so isolated. You can't even control your own cells. Like, you guys don't even do anything. What is this big mass of flesh at the top of your thing? It's just like, and he's describing our brain, but he's describing it like it's some kind of tumor. And he talks about us like thinking cancer. In that story, he says that all of that was subterfuge and that he was already assimilated by that point. Oh. But I don't know. The timeline doesn't suggest that he was assimilated by that point. It depends on what timeline you're talking about and what your theory of the thing is.
That's the thing I love about this movie. It's like, choose your theory. Like, you watch it, you kind of draw your own conclusions, and then the rewatchability factor in it is that you get to go back and try to validate your theory.
Right.
And I think there's a couple of theories. And one of the things that makes this movie more unsettling, and I think this is the first watch where I really, like, this really sunk into me, is there are gaps of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Think of how awful that would be if you were in this and it was like 2 days later, some big shitstorm happens.
Yeah, because doesn't it take place across like 6 to 8 days?
Yeah, you only see a couple of hours, but like there are long times when everybody's like apart and like just like freaking out in their own personal hells. Like,
and that's another thing that I really enjoy about this movie is like the stuff that happens off camera is just as important as the stuff that happens on camera.
That's a good point. And I think as the viewer, we're trying to figure out what's going on off camera. Like, what are we missing the whole time?
Yeah.
Logan, I know you weren't a big fan of the movie, but do you have any scenes that you really enjoyed in the movie?
I mean, yeah, the blood scene. I mean, mostly it was the ending where the couch got like torn and the other two guys are like screaming. I thought that was really funny.
When you find the time
I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch!
I wouldn't mind if you could unbar me from the fucking couch.
That's what I was just about to say. That guy, I felt like showed a lot of restraint because I originally thought he was the Thing like, at some point.
Yeah, Gary. Yeah.
Then when they found out he wasn't, it was like a really big scene. And then, you know.
How about when they kind of discovered, right, that Clark was not the Thing?
Yeah, that was surprising
After
to me.
McCready shot him.
The thing that I like
I
about
knew it was
Clark not being the Thing, and it shows that the Thing is smart. It's sentient and it's very intelligent, because the most obvious move would be, of course, I'm going to infect the guy that handles the dogs. The Thing decided, nah, he's like the perfect alibi instead, and was like, I'm going to go take out other people while they suspect Clark.
I thought that was a good scene of him shooting him because it showed that the paranoia was slipping in, and that all of them were kind of like thinking it was all of them.
Or that McCready's already infected.
Yeah, I guess. But I still think it was the point of like, that was the moment where I was like, okay, this movie is good at showing the paranoia side of it, like the psychological like horror that awaits them as time keeps on going, because they killed their own guy who was not infected, and that like shows like, oh shit, we just killed a dude.
Right. And that gets to my overall point of like, I think this is a human nature sort of horror movie because of this scene specifically, because when shit's going wrong, what happens?
Yeah. How difficult is it when shit goes so sideways to, you know, there's always a story of like the heroes banding together and like overcoming some external, you know, external thing. But that happening is not as easy, especially when the enemy is unknown, their capabilities are unknown, and maybe you don't trust the people you're even in the room with.
That's what I love about this too. It's like, it's not the heroes banding together because we don't know who's who.
Who's the hero?
Right. Who's the hero?
Who's the villain? You don't know.
And there's that great scene too when they kind of turn on McCready.
Yeah.
And McCready's willing to blow everybody up to be like, yo, back off. You know, I'm not going out like this. And I thought that was
maybe
like,
he's willing, or maybe he's bluffing.
Maybe.
Definitely bluffing.
I mean, if he had a little bit more J&B, who knows, right?
I don't know that anybody could have more J&B than he had in him at any given time, though.
It's the most J&B I've ever seen drinking.
I mean, that man is soaking in J&B.
What's that smell? It's McCready.
It's McCready.
I'm surprised when he lit that flare, he didn't blow up.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could have dragon breathed that thing, and he didn't need a flamethrower.
What do you guys think about the opening? Because I think to me, it's like a classic John Carpenter opening.
Oh,
like we're kind of thrust into this situation of the Swedes. I mean, the Norwegians.
The Norwegians.
Hey, Sweden! Not Swedish, Mac, the Norwegian.
Damn it, McCready.
Logan's like,
I mean, how do you have a better opening would be my question.
It pissed me the hell off. I was out of it because I was just so pissed at that Norwegian for missing that dog. I'm like, I hate animal cruelty, but I was like, dude, just shoot it so we can get to the next scene, please. It was like 40 minutes of him flying around shooting at the dog, and I was like, God damn it.
That was excessive.
It was so long. And then he flew back, and then he dipped, and then he came back.
Like, it is hard to shoot things. Not that I've shot things from a helicopter, but like, you're in motion, that's in motion. Like, you're not talking about a static shot.
Bearclaw, let me ask you something.
What?
If that chopper did not have a Norwegian anything on it but a USA chopper, would it have killed the dog?
Yes, because we would have had missiles.
America.
But that's America.
Yeah.
Well, we apparently send our expeditions into the Antarctic with flamethrowers.
Mac wants the flamethrower. Mac wants the what? That's what he said. Now move.
For some reason.
Wait a minute. I was asking Logan this.
Yeah, what?
I was like, why do they have flamethrowers?
Because aliens.
That was my whole question. Because let me tell you, as a person who has moved around a significant amount of snow in their life, or flamethrower ain't gonna do shit against, well, it's gonna do shit against snow, but I mean, you're throwing napalm onto something. You're spraying this thing that's supposed to stick and burn. It's mainly like, you're talking defoliage, you're talking like clearing out. I mean, it's not like a snow removal tool. It's not,
Guys,
it's not a viable snow removal tool.
We gotta remember, John Carpenter likes to throw things around and say, it makes sense because it's plot convenient.
Editor's note. Logan is now grounded for an entire year.
Dang, man.
I mean, that hurts.
But it's true.
God.
You're out of line, but you're not wrong. With the flamethrowers, at
The
least.
stupidest part of Halloween is him being able to drive, and then they just do a. I like
Dan,
that they
you're
back
gonna have
it
to
up.
get the paddles for Kevin. Here. We're gonna need to resuscitate it.
Get the flamthrowers.
Hold on. I need to top my
McKevin
J&B
wants the
off before we do
flamethrower.
anything.
Get the flamethrower.
I mean, let me just I need to warm up a little bit more.
We're gonna need a blood test, Logan.
Oh my God.
Get the wire.
We're
get
gonna
the copper wire.
We gotta
Kevin,
get
get
past
the
this, guys.
breathalyzer. You need to check us all before we
I'm
drive.
young. I'm young. When's the last John Carpenter movie?
The Ward. I forget what year it was.
So I'm not
I know,
born
I-
with John Carpenter. You guys grew up with John Carpenter.
You know
So
what?
the best I have is like, I don't even know, David Lynch, whatever the hell.
You know what? I gotta say, as a John Carpenter fan,
Robert
and
Eggers,
being
yeah,
my
Robert
favorite
Eggers,
director, as
yeah.
I announced at the beginning of this episode, I actually I'm happy that you're. I love different
I like
opinions.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love.
I gotta be honest with you though, the flamethrower comment hurts because why the fuck did they have flamethrowers?
I can't say you're wrong, but
I'm not, because that's just the plain truth.
let's get to it. The ending. What's our thoughts on the ending, and specifically, who's the thing? Is it McCready? Is it Childs? Is it both of them? Is it neither of them?
Can I go first?
Yeah. What do you
Because
think?
I saw this on Reddit the other day, and I believe it 100% because
Dangerous
Re-
words. I
Reddit-
saw this on Reddit and I believe it 100%.
Famous last words.
Hey,
Famous last words.
Reddit's very trustworthy.
Yeah.
Reddit has a lot of trustworthy people.
Yeah.
It's kind of stupid, but it makes sense because why the hell would he laugh after drinking it? But I think McCready went for something a little bit more steady than just go to a classic flamethrower. He was going to just throw a thing of gasoline to solve the problem. So he had the bottle of gasoline ready just in case it didn't work, or maybe just to put some...
Do you think McGrady was human at that point?
McGrady is always human. I think when Child showed up, he was the thing. Because where the hell were you when everything was going on? And then you showed up just conveniently right after a big explosion. You should have been dead.
It was a little suspicious for sure.
He shows up.
And different colored jackets.
He drinks the thing, and McCready laughs, and that's kind of how it ends. I think what happened is he drank the gasoline thinking it was regular, like, alcohol, and McCready laughed because it wasn't, so he knew that it was a thing with him. But they're already going to freeze to death, so it's kind of an ambiguous ending of, like, what's going to happen next kind of thing. But that's how I think. It's like, I think Childs is the thing, and McCready's human.
I think there's so much back and forth argument over whether McCready or Childs is the thing at the end. I think it's plausible that they're both the thing.
I like it.
I theorize that somewhere along the way, McCready got infected and took on a more pragmatic approach to survival by playing against itself. That way, at the end, it won no matter what, much like the way in The Computer Cheats McCready in the beginning. There was never an outcome in which a man could win in this scenario when the thing is playing both sides.
Chess scene really brought us in there.
You know, Adrienne Barbeau played the voice of...
At the time, John Carpenter's wife.
Yes. She was also in The Fog. And
Escape from New
New
York.
York.
Have you seen Escape from New York?
I love Escape.
Still don't like John Carpenter.
They don't like that movie.
You didn't like...
Bearclaw, get us through this. Get us through
I'm
this
so
ending.
cold, Kevin. I'm so cold.
Hold me, Bearclaw.
I rescind cutting him off from the J&B. Give it to him. He needs to warm up.
I need to warm up. I'm so cold. That ending scene is very interesting. I don't know. To be honest with you, Fuchs fucks it all up for me.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Fuchs fucks it up. and he
Why?
fucks up the end scene. Because at the end scene, if you were to ask me before my most recent watch, and I too dove into the cesspool of Reddit, I think I might have said that McCready was laughing because Childs wasn't afraid to just drink the bottle from him, and he wasn't afraid because he was a thing. And supposedly the idea was that McCready had like a flamethrower under a blanket that he was sitting on, and he was like, well, we'll just wait, and then he was going to whip that out and burn him. And I guess there's a comic book that kind of says that. Again, the comic book I don't give any credence to or anything like that, because I see this movie as a singular thing. So there is a theory that I think is very consistent that says that McCready was one of the first people to get infected.
Ooh.
There's like 3 or 4 different instances where you could point to that where he is potentially
first
infected.
20 minutes of the movie, he gets infected.
That's one of them.
And
the model, right?
Yeah, and that doesn't seem that believable until you really start thinking about Fuchs. And Fuchs really fucks up the whole argument of him not being the thing.
Fuchs was afraid of McCready, it almost seemed like.
Yeah.
That, and what happened to Fuchs?
Exactly.
Well, he just
McCready,
he just burned himself.
and McCready is
he
the
just
only
burned
one.
himself. Well, okay. He just poured gasoline on himself and lit himself on fire.
Yeah,
And McCready is the one that points out that he's missing.
Yeah, McCready's the one
And
that
his
points out.
jacket was out there too. Found his jacket.
Everything could point to McCready not being the thing, but then when you get to Fuchs, it just gets Fuchs. Like I said, Fuchs fucks it up. Like like there's something not.
There's a disconnect.
There's a disconnect. There's an inconsistency. And
McCready tested his blood though.
McCready tested. I don't think he tested Fuchs because
McCready tested his own blood.
But you don't see.
But did you see him take the blood out of his finger?
I thought we did.
No. And the
It's
other
never
thing
shown.
that I caught today, I watched this movie again before our recording.
He was the one collecting all the samples too.
This is why it's so
when
good for
McCready
rewatching.
breaks back into the base. Childs mentions that McCready has the keys, which, mind you, the keys access the blood bank. So it's like, how did he get the keys? How, like, you know what? But still, like, it doesn't add up where McCready was at that point in the movie. But like, he ends up with the keys.
I saw a YouTube video where they pointed out there is a soundscape
Windows
where
drops
Windows
the keys.
drops the keys. Correct.
And then my other question, and this gets into thing, is how did Dr. Blair get infected?
I was just assuming that the thing got into Dr. Blair's.
Or maybe that bottle of vodka that McCready took a swig of and then handed to Dr. Blair.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because that makes sense too. Because Blair had the pencil. He was like in the autopsy. I mean, he had blood everywhere.
I mean, yeah, I guess there's multiple plays at times. But like, I don't know. Like he was, he had gloves on. I don't think there was any viscera that was.
I mean, I just thought as a surface level idea, right? Because at the end, McCready, we see like the big thing reveal, or not really the full thing, but the tentacles come up through the ground because they're in the generator room.
Yeah.
And you get that big kind of reveal of the thing at the end.
Yeah.
And McCready blows it up, right? And my thought process on a very surface level was, how did McCready survive that without getting any
that
thing
was another
on
thought.
him or anything, and he just walks away? Like,
and another thing
Action movie.
Are we
like
dealing
the walk away?
It's like Vin Diesel shit.
And are we dealing with one alien entity? Or are we dealing with 2 alien entities?
Bearclaw, this gets me into one of our first newer segments, Conspiracy Corner.
Awesome. Yeah, this is exactly. And this movie was made for the introduction of this segment. Like, there's so many theories on this movies, but I wanted to put a couple out there that I think are, I don't know if they're fully fleshed out. And what I want to think about here is kind of going off the path of normal thought. Let's think about who's really pulling the strings in all of this, and really trying to understand who Pepe Sylvia really is in all of this. and I want to really really peel the onion of these movies, and I think there's something going on here, guys. And I think we need to get to the bottom of it.
Can't wait to hear about every single smelly layer you've got up.
Oh, this onion goes deep too.
Bearclaw, how many hours of payment? I mean, The Thing, did you...
Well, there is no birds in this movie, so I think payment we can...
Wow.
Well, no birds that you saw, but anyways... The Thing is a bird. No. Conspiracy number 1. The Thing is actually a bird.
Write it down.
Hear me out.
It's a goal.
100,000 years ago, it's a seafaring bird. No. That was there with the dinosaurs. So the two conspiracies that I have that are the biggest with this movie are, first one is McCready is the Thing from square one, day one. This theory goes, and it's purported, I would give credit to one person, but I've heard the same thing from several different folks. And let me walk you through a timeline of where McCready is, or I'm going to call him Mac throughout this, is the Thing. So the biggest thing is, what's the first thing that happens when the dog comes into the camp? He starts licking the gloves of Bennings, right?
Yep.
Okay.
What is the one thing that Bennings handles immediately? And I'm waving around the bottle of JB right now.
Aggressively swigs that JB.
So he aggressively swigs that JB with gloves that have recently been licked with that dog. Now, we don't see McCready specifically take a swig of that, but he very likely does.
Yeah. He's not letting
later
go without.
And that is the point of infection, because the scientists figure out it only takes a couple of cells to infect you. So McCready becomes part of the Thing. There's the bottle of vodka. He infects Dr. Blair by swigging from that and giving it to Dr. Blair. The blood test could have been faked. We don't see him draw the blood test. The biggest one is Fuchs. Like, what happens with Fuchs? This entire time he draws up the will to just burn himself and nobody discovers for a couple of days. Like, the thing is what was Fuchs suggesting that was so bad?
McCready's the Thing.
Yeah, he was suggesting.
You know what, Bearclaw? This blows my mind, because when I watched it, I was like, wait a minute. What happened here? Like, it just seemed weird.
It seems out of place, doesn't it?
It does.
And what was Fuchs trying to tell everybody that maybe if you were the Thing, you wouldn't want them told?
Don't share drinks or food.
Don't share drinks or food. Eat out of cans.
If a small particle of this thing is enough to take over an entire organism, then everyone should prepare their own meals. And I suggest we only eat out of cans.
That would stop the spread, wouldn't it? Yeah. So maybe.
And you notice that Brimley, I always forget his fucking name. Blair was already eating canned food.
Yep.
Yes, he was.
As if the other people in the crew would know that knowledge, but nobody knew that knowledge.
Exactly. And then there are two distinct and different pieces of clothing found with McCready's name on them.
One piece of clothing had the
Both
name
were
torn
up.
But the name was torn off one of them. But that could have been Bennings or somebody else later.
There was the jumpsuit that was found next to Fuchs's body or whatever. That was torn up. And then there was the jumpsuit that was found by
Knowles.
When he went into Mac's hut. And he was hiding it behind the furnace. Why would you hide it behind the furnace? And there's also that whole light situation.
I was going to say, too, there's that whole scene that seems out of place when McCready and what's his name go to McCready's shack, right?
Oh, just two by themselves. No big deal.
And we don't see what plays out.
No.
Whatever it was, it spooked Knowles enough to run back to base.
Ditch him and say, let's get out of here.
Dang. I like this, Bearclaw.
McCready may have been the whole time.
Everything that you're saying is what kind of led me to believe that at the end both are the Thing.
Yeah, or maybe Childs wasn't the Thing.
Oh man,
I think Childs was the Thing.
Maybe Childs. Well, what evidence do we have? I mean, there's the coat situation that proves that maybe he was the Thing.
I've heard about the coat,
and he was out there for so damn long.
I think it's like Bennings, right? So, like, the other thing was that the Thing was able to burrow underneath. There was some hidden tunneling underneath the base naturally. But the Thing was able to connect through tunneling itself into other parts of the base. And my theory is that he was able to get under and back into the base through his hut. He infected Childs. Childs went out into the winter elements to, like, form himself. And that's where we see, what's his name, sees him walking out of it into the cold, into the wilderness. And then he returns fully the thing at the end.
Well, here you keep saying.
And the generator goes out too shortly thereafter.
We keep saying the thing, but here's the second conspiracy theory.
Let's go.
What if there was more than one thing? How could one entity take over a body at a cellular level while the other one needed to wrap it in viscera? We might be dealing with two distinct and separate entities that are competing.
There's nothing to suggest that there's two separate entities, as they found one thing in the ice in the beginning of the movie. What I would say is that what if when the thing assimilates, it takes a piece of the identity of the individual and almost kind of likes the individuality of what it is to be human and kind of keeps that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a stretch.
See, given the two entities thing is a little bit, the McCready thing is a little bit more believable, but the two entities thing, I think, still has some legs.
I think so too. I'm thinking of it in a different way.
I was thinking like not necessarily the two entities, but what happens if this thing can split off into multiple entities? Because
it
does,
yeah.
And it has its own like separate sentience, but like I think the question is like, is the sentience, is it one collective, or like once it divvies off, does it have its own sentience?
Well, like, and the blood had its own sentience, right?
Yeah.
Like, or at least some reaction to it. The other mystery in this that I think answers a lot of questions, especially with the established timeline, is was there a dog thing roaming around the base? Did that thing from the kennel escape out the ceiling?
Yeah,
there's a lot of debate about
burned
that.
And
well, that's what I was
ground.
thinking, that it went through the ceiling, and you have that, and then you have the other one that.
Because if McCready is not the thing, there would need to be another entity roaming around to make a timeline work.
I thought that was Blair.
Well, Blair would have gotten infected by the dog entity, because the dog entity never took human form. It in theory, it would have crawled up into the rafters, and they don't know what happened to it.
Or it would have escaped.
It escaped somehow.
Maybe it theoretically escaped into the basement where the generators are.
Exactly. It went some other place, and then either went up through the floorboards and got Fuchs and then did it, or like there's a couple of different ways. But in order for the widely accepted timeline to work, you'd have to ignore Fuchs in his entirety and just assume that he just got so desperate and sad that he just killed himself.
Which makes zero sense
because everybody's trying to survive. Or, and we don't have a lot of John Carpenter's an excellent director. We don't have a lot of background, like Fuchs writing like suicidal thoughts or like being depressed or anything. Like, we don't have any of that background. So there's nothing to support why he would just like going off and burning yourself is a pretty insane,
like just because you're like a little bit mousy of a person doesn't make you like, all right, I'm going to go kill myself.
I'm going to go pour some kerosene on myself and light her up.
You know what, too?
Fire it up.
Fire it up. Fire it up. Fire it up.
Forgot about that.
One of the things too that caused this movie, they were saying, to have a negative backlash is the ending, because it is ambiguous and there isn't really an ending per se. So, but I mean, I like it.
It's perfect. It couldn't have.
Did you know Kurt Russell helped John Carpenter finish the ending to that movie?
Yeah.
Dialogue wise.
I heard the thing, and he said they ran through it so many different times, and then they just ended with just like, we got to just leave it like this. And I think that's so much cooler of an ending.
Yeah. Fuck all the critics.
Yeah. Fuck all of them.
Let's get on to hot takes. I want to start off with my hot take because Bearclaw mentioned it, and I want to get everyone's thoughts on this. Maybe we know Logan's thoughts already. Is this the best John Carpenter movie? The Thing. I don't mean, is this your favorite, but is this the best one? The way it's shot, the acting, the story, the effects, the atmosphere, the music.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Logan, you're saying Halloween?
Halloween. Yeah.
I think you could make that argument.
I do too.
I don't see it as a non-starter, but it would have to be a very concise argument, especially because some dude's belly opens up and bites off another dude's hands, and then a head busts up And then
Okay,
claws
but
to the
here's my
ceiling.
thing. The reason why I like Halloween is because of its simplicity. It doesn't have to overcomplicate itself, oversaturate itself, or even try to overdo itself at most points by trying to do this whole whodunit. We know who it is. It's Michael freaking Myers. He takes over this movie like as a complete entity of the unknown. That's the real horror of it, is what is this man and what is he going to do? We have different points of view. We don't really have had that before this, like with Laurie Strode fighting this kind of entity.
You know what?
Perfect movie.
I mean, I want to go off of Logan's point here because I think it is a pretty valid one that I haven't heard many people say. Halloween is very simple. The Thing is not simple.
And Bearclaw,
right?
this is why I love like your takes on it, because you've brought it up multiple times. Horror movies don't really match up to Halloween's like flair, because horror movies that we've seen before are very overcomplicated and just like very much. But like Halloween is like a perfect, just simple movie. It's something very simply you can just describe to someone. Like if you're telling someone about a movie, let's say you're describing these two movies. You're describing Halloween and you're describing The Thing. How would you describe the two movies?
Paranoia and terror.
Well, I mean, like as far as like, okay, this is how I would say. Halloween. Babysitter is stalked by a guy in a mask or a killer in a mask
on Halloween.
On Halloween night. The Thing. Creature from space. Maybe from space. Takes over bodies.
Definitely from
How many
space.
bodies?
100% from space, yeah.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying.
There's just, it's so much to
I think it's a
describe.
valid point you're making. I do.
Like one's more grounded in reality and the other one is more fantastical.
It depends on what your type of horror
it's
movie
like
is.
saying it's like saying
perfect. Yep.
Halloween is the perfect vanilla ice cream. And The Thing, if you like chocolate ice cream, The Thing is your fucking jam.
That's perfect, man.
Yeah, I
like
think
that.
it depends on what you like, but like I think it depends on like if you're saying what's the best movie overall, you got to go on everything about each movie. I'm talking atmosphere, music, characters, like everything about it from both movies. And for me, it's all about rewatchability and recommending something.
I could watch both. Wait, but to your point though, like I could rewatch both Halloween and The Thing. I love them both. Like it's so hard to like put one over the other.
I'm a little bit thinking like we're comparing apples and oranges too, because because when you're talking about Halloween, like the thing that I think about Halloween is terror. Because Michael Myers is terror incarnate. He is unstoppable. He is the person staring at you from the bushes. He is the inevitable confrontation. He is very simple. He is very direct. That is, terror is very simple. It's very direct. Paranoia, that is a feeling that is inherently complex, because paranoia is fear of the unknown and complexity is part of the unknown.
And I would argue that The Thing is a more complex adversary than Michael Myers and is the driving force of all of the paranoia.
It's chess versus checkers that we're talking about here. Michael Myers is checkers, and this is chess.
I'm not talking about just the creature. I'm talking about the entire movie. And then again, apples to oranges, every single John Carpenter movie is very different than itself, but also very similar to itself. There's a lot of movies that have similar
I'll challenge you on that. What would you say are the similarities between Halloween and The Thing?
Tempo, atmosphere. I mean, different atmospheres, but like, because
tension.
I think people who like see Halloween, you know, it's a basic slasher movie, but to me, it's not a basic slasher
It's
movie.
not basic.
For the
It's not basic. It's simple. Simple and basic are very different words. Basic means you are.
Yeah, like vanilla ice cream is not basic.
I like Dan's idea with vanilla and chocolate. But what I think is a cool kind of comparison is the endings to these movies, Halloween.
Both unknown.
Both.
Right. And I love that ending because it's like, it goes on without us.
John Carpenter likes to do those endings, though. So like almost like The Fog. The Fog is one of like a great ending.
Big Trouble in Little China is very ambiguous.
And, and the one we're doing next has a little bit of that too.
It's the Carpenter charm.
Yeah.
It is his thing, and that's why I don't.
No, I mean, for me, it's hard to separate my nostalgia for Halloween and it being my favorite movie versus The Thing. But I can see the argument as The Thing is the best John Carpenter movie.
I don't think there's an easy.
It's not an easy answer.
There's not an easy answer. No,
but it's definitely fun to talk about for sure.
Over a bottle of J&B.
Yeah.
Any other hot takes?
I have a hot take.
Yes, sir.
This movie needed Blair Thing cutting a promo about his hyperglycemic rage
Diabetes.
to the crew as an explanation for destroying the base. You know, just drop it in when they go to test him after he laments about no one asking about his diabetes. Then he tries to barter his way back into the base by offering a 1-800 number to call. So if they're eligible for a free.
Dinty Moore stew helped him manage his the diabetes.
What was that?
The diabetes.
What about
the Dinty Moore that he was eating?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think it helped. I think he it helped lower his sugars, and so then he was able to be like, all right, guys, I'm reasonable now. I'm ready.
I love the noose hanging through.
Yeah, I was just
the noose. Nobody talks about the noose. What's going on with the noose, man?
I think it really would have helped the news demonstrate just how effective the Thing was at taking over its host.
Hold on. The noose goes to the point of McCready being the Thing. Because think about it. Why would the Thing craft a noose? But he knew he was being succumb after he drank to the bottle. He could start to feel it within him. So he crafted the noose so he would kill himself because he was infected when McCready infected him from the vodka.
Sir, your tinfoil hat is not big enough.
That's when he crafted the noose, but he wasn't in time and the creature took over and then he started digging a hole and building a spaceship.
This feels like Payment all over again, where it's like we're going above and beyond for a movie that's just way too much.
Excellent hot take on the diabetes. Any other hot take?
That was my hot take.
I have two hot takes.
All right.
The first one we've already covered, which was, why do they have flamethrowers on an Arctic base?
Plot relevance.
Not really any clear reason about why.
John Carpenter.
They didn't have military firearms, but they had flamethrowers. They had shotguns and pistols. Because why not? And then my second hot take is, what was the alien's end game here? Let's say you're the entity. So what are you doing here? Easily overpower.
It doesn't have an end game. It
just wants to survive.
I like to think of the alien almost as if it's been frozen for 100,000 years.
Yeah.
It's coming out of a hangover. What the fuck just happened?
It doesn't know where it is, right? It's I'm on this planet. I just have to survive. That's all it is survival.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's I feel like it's so OP that it's why couldn't it just run train on everything? And
Michael Myers had an end game.
Can you imagine?
Michael Myers didn't have an end game either.
Can you imagine Michael Myers?
Kill Laurie Strode.
Can you imagine Michael Myers
if you say
and
it's
the
his
Thing?
sister, I'm jumping over this table.
It's because of his sister.
Brother, his end game was killing. That's his end game.
Michael Myers and the Thing at Outpost 31. Let's go.
Yeah, no, that would be an awesome movie. Think about it. Michael Myers and the Thing tries to take over Michael Myers, but he just sees the Thing inhabits him, but it only sees darkness and it has to repel.
McCready is played by the cowboy catheter guy.
Yeah.
Cookie Woman's got to be there.
Cookie Woman.
There's already a Brimley in there. You might as well throw a cowboy catheter in there.
Cookie Woman. We got to bring Barry Sims to the base.
And Loomis to the base.
Of course, Loomis.
Of course we need Loomis.
That rage, there isn't enough J&B for Loomis.
We need...
Go home, Michael. Go home.
Michael, we must come together to fight the Thing.
Yes, Michael, team up.
Drink J&B and be merry.
Holy shit, we got the Thing sequel for you.
Why do I want to see Michael Myers and Loomis team up?
Listen, forget the prequel. We got the sequel.
And then Michael Myers is the Thing at the end.
And then he's dropped in Haddonfield. It all makes sense. And this leads into Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
And the evil's everywhere.
Exactly.
Because it's the thing.
And the thing
Evil
is come
dies
back.
tonight.
Evil dies tonight! Evil dies tonight!
Turning us all into monsters, Logan.
Now he's turning us into monsters.
Any more hot takes?
Hot take, John Carpenter sucks.
We find out that Logan with the hottest take
oh
of
my
them
God,
all.
Nathan, restrict this from the podcast.
I mean, it's not that I hate the guy. I just don't like his style. It's not his movies are bad. I just I don't like his style.
Fair enough. All right, let's get into our Hall of Slain. We have to nominate some characters from The Thing. Our Hall of Slain are characters that have died in movies we've reviewed that would help us get through and survive a horror movie, because we're the final girl. Who are these characters that are going to help us survive?
I'm gonna lead this off.
Yep.
And then you guys can go from here. But
all right.
To me, there are 12 characters in this movie total. There's a lot of potential here.
Don't tell me you want to nominate all 12 characters.
No, absolutely fucking not.
All right.
You have Knowles.
Base 31 in its entirety.
Well, hang on, you're forgetting the Norwegians.
Well, let's.
And the Norwegians.
Oh no! I don't know though. I don't want somebody who fumbles a grenade like that, man.
Oh my God.
Let's be real for a minute. Like let's go through some of these guys. Like Knowles, he can cook. He can rollerblade. There's Gary. He's got a fucking gun. And Blair, like, don't get me started on Blair. I don't even want to fucking talk about Blair. But unfortunately for me,
I was gonna say Blair.
Yeah, it's gonna
Blair's a man of action.
You don't understand. It's gonna break my heart. The thing you gotta understand is, unfortunately, none of these characters, for me, in good conscience, I wouldn't allow them into my hall. They could carry a deadly alien life form that could wipe both me and the squad and even the killer that's after me just out of this fever dream. And I can't in good conscience allow this.
No, I'm bringing Blair with me. I'm bringing Blair with me. He's got the diabetes thing under control.
You don't know that.
So you don't know that you could have go into diabetic shock at any point being chased with all that cardio if you haven't been planning for it. And he could be there with an EpiPen. So Blair is on the team. I think Blair needs to be on the team. He built a spacecraft with his bare hands. He dug all those tunnels, even though he was infected, but that's fine. And his aim is not the best, okay, because he was shooting and it didn't really work out for him. Yeah. But he had a gun. He's got some foresight. He had the axe. He stopped. You know, he was trying to stop the thing.
To your point, he also fucked up Windows.
He did fuck up Windows. Yeah. So I mean, you know, he's not.
So you're nominating Blair into the Hall of Fame.
I would like to nominate Blair.
I
Blair
begrudgingly accept.
All right, here.
Do I hear a second?
Here.
No.
I second. Well, Logan, anybody from you? What do you got for the Hall of Fame?
I mean, Gary.
Gary, he's a shot.
Gary, fuck yeah.
I mean, he did take out the Norwegian.
Dude, he shot the guy right between the eyes.
Yeah, he's a good ass shot, and he did it from like a long distance away. Broke a mirror and broke a window, and then just shot him right in the eye. He is also in a great movie. I want to give it a shout out. Trouble in Paradise. Nicolas Cage.
Oh, baby.
Dana Carvey and John Lovitz.
What?
And he was in it.
It's a Christmas movie.
When did this come out?
I have seen this. Trouble in Paradise. I love this.
No, wait, it's Trapped in Paradise.
Trapped in Paradise.
Trouble in Paradise is Hogan.
Hogan.
Thunder in Paradise.
Look. Trapped in Paradise, Trouble in Paradise, same shit. But I did watch it.
The J&B is flowing.
I didn't drink
it. Guys, we got to get surviving through the night here. What are we doing?
So he's also in Trapped in Paradise, too. And I was like, oh, shit. So when he showed up in The Thing, I was like, okay, now he's definitely. And then we brought up the Hall of Slain. I'm like, if he's in this movie with my boy Dana Carvey, you know he's going to be.
You know what I like about Gary is he kind of gives up his leadership role. Like, he's willing to do that. I think that's a very valid.
It's admirable.
Yeah,
because he's scared as shit.
He gave it up to the Beast, though. If McCready's the Beast,
according to your point, yeah.
By the way, why does everyone fucking trust McCready?
I know exactly. What has he done? Like makes
He's
him
like-
so.
he's like
the
the-
outsider. That seems like
He's
maybe
the
person we
daddy
should-
of the
Yeah.
outpost. You know, they're all coming to him. Here's my question for you guys, because I wanted to nominate either Childs or McCready, because
Ooh.
do they survive?
Do they survive?
I thought about that too.
Yeah.
Childs would be an asset, but
No nonsense. I got to go McCready, though. Plus, he can fly a helicopter.
he can fly a helicopter. McCready
He can get
if
us
he
out of a
survi-
tough
got-
situation.
he's got a
may
very
survive.
specific
He
set of
may
skills.
have been a
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but he may have been a human.
But you know what, though? I got to say, this goes back to Dan's point. Can we nominate anybody? They're the thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it becomes about them and not about you, and it defeats the whole purpose.
They become the killer, I guess, in a sense. Everybody becomes the killer.
I mean, I got to
except for possibly McCready, or McCready is the
or Childs.
or Childs,
I mean, I got
or they both could have been.
I don't think we can really nominate one, can we?
Not safely. Not if we want to survive. Not if survival is the end
goodness.
game.
If Doomsday's scenario is your scenario, then
So we're
nominate
gonna
them
say
away.
no additions
I
to the
guess,
stable due to
yeah.
contamination, due to possible
yeah.
contamination,
Possible contamination.
possible infection. Fair enough.
Well, Hollis is still there to help us out,
No,
Hollis is my boy.
He's always going
He's
to
our
be
homeboy.
everybody's homeboy.
right?
not Hosier.
We're on to hook, line, and stinker. Now, our hook is our favorite kill in the movie. Our line is our favorite line or quote from the movie. And our stinker is something funny, awful, or weird that happens that makes the movie better or worse. My hook is Dr. Cooper, the doc.
Norris?
Yeah, uses the I can't say the word.
Defibrillator.
Yeah, on Norris's
R.
chest, it opens up.
I'm gonna double team with you on this one because that was my favorite scene. I mean, how? Come on.
It was so great. And I heard, like, speaking of practical effects, they used an amputee for this scene.
Yeah.
Really?
And he wore a mask.
Oh,
So it's practical stuff going on, and I love it.
But
And
who was behind the mask?
John Carpenter.
Was it Leslie Vernon?
I was going to say Leslie Vernon.
Leslie Vernon?
He's back.
Oh, man. I just thought it was the best scene in the movie. I remember it from years and years ago, seeing it, and it's stuck in my mind forever. So that's why I love it.
the head crawling away.
The head. How do they do the head?
Like, and the head and the tongue coming out, or like the tentacle coming out of its mouth.
With the
and
spider.
and the spider.
How do they do that?
I heard the tongue thing. All they did was they recorded it and then they played it backwards.
Oh.
To make the tongue effect work.
My line is when McCready is talking to the tape recorder. He says,
Nobody trusts anybody now. We're all very tired.
like, I just love that kind of moment where
Oh,
he's
yeah.
by himself. My stinker is, I got to go with the dog deaths.
Yeah.
I hate seeing
poor
dog
Boochie.
deaths.
Yeah, I'll tag team with you on that one.
Yeah.
That was my stinker as well. I did not like that. It was unnecessary.
All right, how about you, Dan?
For me, my hook is Thing Palmer's death. I like how resigned Thing Palmer is to being discovered as the Thing during the blood test. That he's going to have to do something terrible. Like, you just see it. He's just like, oh man, this is like perfect flesh for me to take over. And now I'm going to have to do them. I'm going to have to kill them. It just sounds like a lot of work, you know?
I'm gonna have to grow shit out of myself and cling to the ceiling. It's a lot of like.
And then he just fucks up windows, which is like
Yeah.
my favorite part. He just starts chomping on his head.
Chomping on him, yeah.
And he shakes him all around like a dog toy. And then McCready then explodes him with a stick of dynamite.
Dude, he goes through that wall like it's nothing, though.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
for a heavily fortified, like keeping the Antarctic cold out, like they were
Goes through it
paper
like
walls,
honeycomb, right?
paper fucking walls, right? But like the other thing that's cool is that in that scene where Kurt Russell throws the dynamite, it's an actual live stick of dynamite.
Whoa.
So like he actually had to like throw a piece of it actually exploded, and he had to like avoid shrapnel and shit, which for me makes the kill sequence a lot more
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
For sure.
Line for me, it's the final dialogue of the movie between Childs and McCready.
What do we do?
Why don't we just wait here for a little while? See what happens.
In their exchange, you get seeds of doubt about who is and who isn't the thing. It has created like this never-ending debate over who is who. I truly believe John Carpenter knows for certain who the thing is, but to end that discussion would also like kind of end like its irrelevancy. I kind of mentioned this earlier.
Yeah, I agree.
Stinker, bumbling Nords throwing the grenade backwards. Like, I really wanted the Benny Hill theme to kick in, like the minute, like he, like all the way up to the point where he gets like shot through the goggle.
Oh.
Like, I thought that was like kind of funny, stinkery thing. What do you got, Bearclaw?
So for Hook, we already kind of went through it, the autopsy scene. I mean, I tried to find a different hook, but like, how do you have a different hook then? Literally, the man's chest opens into a jaw, kills everything, explodes in green tentacles, and then they flamethrower him, and his head detaches itself, grows spider legs, and then runs out of the room. I mean, come on.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
Like, how is that not the ice cream, the cherry, and the banana all at one time? So
it is the money shot.
It is the money shot for certain. This line still gives me chills down my spine. It's between Knowles and McCready, and Knowles says, "Where are we going?" And McCready says, "Up to my shack." And Knowles says, "What the hell for?" And McCready says,
"Because when I left yesterday, I turned the lights off."
And Knowles looks and sees the light is on in McCready's shack.
Yeah, that's an ominous.
Like
that is very creepy.
That is like a very creepy moment in the entirety of the movie, especially on this outpost Arctic base. Like, oh, it still gives me like goosebumps, like, because I turned that light off yesterday. And now it's on.
Right.
And nobody else is out here.
Because I turned it on 4 hours ago.
Yeah. And my stinker is anything that like came after this movie, as far as like comic books or anything that like tries to like explain away or do anything. And those are my stinker, because this movie is perfect as it is. And I don't I love the theories and the Reddit posts and everything like that, but anything that claims to be canon or like explain the ending or anything, I don't really.
What did you think of the 2011 prequel?
Yeah, I was about to ask that. Yeah,
I haven't watched it. And
give it a watch.
It really is it worth it? Because to me,
I mean, if you love The Thing, it's worth watching. Just give it a watch.
Give it a watch. Okay,
I think it's worthy. If you love this content, at least give it a watch, just so you can have an opinion on it.
Okay, no, I'll take that challenge.
I didn't even know it existed till our friend Modern Monsters had mentioned it.
Yeah, Logan. So, what are your thoughts? What's your hook, line, and stinker on this?
So I have the firewalk as my hook. Ooh. I really liked that. That was a cool shot. And I had a funny hook, which was the grenade death. I just thought it was funny. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, yeah, but it was stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid. Line, Max saying, "Hey, Sweden." Cooper saying, "They're not Swedish, Max. They're Norwegian." And they repeated that 5 times. 5 times during the movie, where it would just be like, he kept on calling them Swedish, and someone would have to go, "They're Norwegian." Stop correcting him. He's doing it on purpose at this point. Stinker is the dog deaths. I hate when people bring it up like, "Oh, we kill animals in movies because it adds to the feel of the movie. Like, nobody's safe." It's like, no, you're just being, you're just, I don't know. It hurts to see animal deaths. I don't like the excuse of like, it adds to the movie.
I gotcha.
It doesn't.
But again, that's a John Carpenter staple.
Yeah.
He kills
again,
animals and kids because nobody's safe in his movies.
Carpenter.
Any honorable mentions?
No. Fuchs death.
Yeah.
Fuchs death.
Bearclaw laid it out earlier.
I know. I feel it too.
It is like the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, Blair's death is also pretty good. Like the thing at the end, like with the big explosion. I mean, it's just a...
Fuck you too.
Fuck you too!
I have that down. Yeah, that's my line. Yep, Mac, fuck you too. I also have a stinker as the response to the movie in 1982 because...
Awesome.
Like, come on, guys. This...
Eeyore, what are you talking about?
This, to me, is above and beyond. Like, this is a great film. and you treated it like trash, and you really kind of...
See, they won't watch it.
I know, but it wasn't just Ebert. It was a lot of other critics.
Yeah.
You know, and the backlash caused John Carpenter to really get, you know, disassociated with
Horror movies,
filmmaking.
though, are never really well received until like years later.
We got to stop it, I think, because horror, and especially lately, I mean, this past year.
Okay, it's different though now, as it was like
still not recognized by the
20,
Academy Awards. I mean, there's there's some next level stuff going on in elevated horror that is just totally not recognized.
Funny, we talk about that. The Substance just got an Academy Award.
Yep.
So
nomination? I thought it got Golden Globe.
No, Academy Award. If that's true, then we got to assume it's going to be the norm now, is horror movies will be respected by the Academy.
And you know what it is? It's partly because there's a lot more credible actors lending themselves to the genre. Like, look at Demi Moore. Like, Demi Moore is a 10 times, like, she's won so many awards 10 times over.
Hugh Grant too, I thought.
Like, there's a lot of Academy Award actors joining in on the genre.
Yeah. When you think about it, though, it's different than what it was, because The Thing was in 1982. That was a different time. Horror movies weren't well respected. There weren't a lot of like big horror movies that hit theaters.
There was a lot of schlock back then.
And now people think of The Thing as like a big thing because when it came out, and because of this whole, like, you know, there's a lot of movies back then that people love now. Like, look at Hocus Pocus is a big example of that.
That's
like
true.
That movie was not well received in the theaters, but then later on it became a cult classic.
And I think The Thing has a lot of that now.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's got a big following.
So it is up for an Oscars, but it hasn't won any Oscars.
All right, so that's cool though. If it's
and I don't even know if it's formally nominated. They just said it's possible it could be nominated for Best Actor, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, or Best Makeup and Hairstyling.
But I mean, if it's in the talking, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about it. They're talking about any horror movie as, you know, like I said, a positive thing. Because, I mean, it's such a shame. I mean, I cross lines here, too, because I like A24 stuff as well. And that Midsommar or that Hereditary weren't put, that none of the actors received any recognition for those roles is criminal in my opinion.
So it's Demi Moore. She won a Golden Globe for The Substance.
Oh, it just happened while we're recording because the Golden Globes are.
She won it for The Substance.
Oh, cool!
Awesome.
That's
but doesn't that mean that she won't win an Academy Award?
Fact feature.
No, because she could still win an Academy Award. I think that would help her get nominated for Academy Award.
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome for horror. We're on to our final rating.
They're gonna rate the movie. What will they rate the movie? The killer is great, the victim sucks, the survivor is in between. What was that?
Our final rating system is Killer. It's our highest rating. It's awesome. We would highly recommend, and it is a must watch. Survivor is our middle tier. It's a good movie. We would probably recommend, and some rewatchability. And finally, The Dreaded Victim. It's our lowest rating. It's a bad movie. We do not recommend, and no rewatchability. For me, The Thing is a 5-star killer, man. I love this movie. I think it's great. The atmosphere. I think the acting, the way it was shot, just the paranoia kind of taking over. And like I said, it is a very human nature horror. And I think this has so many rewatchability factors to it. Like Bearclaw has brought up a ton tonight, and it makes me excited to go back and see this over and over again.
I want to rewatch it now.
Right. And it's a perfect winter watch, in my opinion. And, you know, I think this might be, you know, one of John Carpenter's best movies. It's so, so good. And if you haven't seen it, if you listen to us, go check it out because it's worth it. Dan, how about you?
I give this movie a killer. It's arguably one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
Very good point.
I mentioned this earlier. It's a creature feature, body horror, and a whodunit all wrapped into one. It leaves viewers enough breadcrumbs to come to their own conclusions about theories as to whether who is the thing and who isn't at the end of the movie. Those fates are left up to the viewer to decide. It's a question that should never be given a real answer because I think at its center, it is the relevance of this movie. The Thing creature and the transformations were some of the best special effects I've seen out of any movie from the 80s. The vision and creativity to execute it all through practical effects alone is so impressive. How can you not love this movie is what I left at my final comment notes. Bearclaw.
So I'm gonna go with a different angle here. I'm gonna go victim. No.
What? What?
Just kidding. This is a killer all day with a killer all day with a bullet. I mean, come on. Guy's head crawls off and becomes a spider. I mean, say no more.
Game over.
Right. That's it.
Game over, man. Game over.
In the words of Jerry Maguire.
Just shut up. You had me at
Spiderhead. Killer for me. Logan.
Yeah, it is a great movie with great acting, great atmosphere, and cool music to add to the stiff tension. It's a great concept, but ultimately, it's not for me, man. I have to say it's a survivor, just based on the ability to be able to rewatch it. I just don't think I will. I really liked it, but it just wasn't my vibe. It's not my kind of movie.
One and done for you, huh?
Yeah, one and done. And I'm okay with that. For me, it was very much like how I went into watch Heretic, where I didn't have a lot of expectations for it, but I knew it was going to be a good movie, and I did enjoy myself. I thought it was fun. Just wasn't for me. It was very just there.
But you wouldn't put it in victim.
No, because it's still a good movie, and I see it as a good movie. It's just not my kind of movie.
It's like how I feel about Jaws.
All right.
Editor's note. Dan has been grounded for these comments.
I would recommend someone to watch it.
Okay.
Because I do think it's a fun movie. Okay. It's not a bad movie at all. I just don't think it's great.
Well, Nathan, our producer, also gave his rating, and he said, the special effects are amazing, but the constantly escalating paranoia is the real star of the show here. Killer. P.S. Justice for the Huskies.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir.
Well, we also asked you, our audience, what your thoughts were on The Thing. So let's check our Instagram, and that's at mouths.of.madness. James Shannon Morant, masterpiece. Late shift _movies, awesome. Natalie _May_ truthfully haven't seen it since I was a child. I hope you see it again, Natalie.
Oh. Yeah, definitely take the time to watch it again.
Thrift store archaeologist, 12 Angry Men of Horror. Pure classic, top to bottom.
Wow.
What?
Interesting.
12 Angry Men and The Thing? Two completely different
Just
movies.
broke Logan's mind.
I haven't seen 12 Angry Men. Does somebody's head become a spider?
Okay, 12 Angry Men is like...
I believe that would make 11 Angry Men angry.
Yeah, that's
Dude,
true.
that movie is like one of my favorite old classic movies. Watch it, Bearclaw. It's so good.
Out of the Darkness Productions. It's an absolute classic. One of the best horror films ever made, in my opinion. Plus, I'm a huge John Carpenter fan. Yes, John Carpenter is awesome. Splice and Splatter Pod. Some of the best practical effects of all time and still scary after so many rewatches. The Geek Collector 15, one of my favorites. Midnight Movie House. The practical effects... let me read this one again. The practical effects hold up marvelously and are just straight up gross. And let me read that again for the third time.
Do you want me to read it for you, man?
Kevin, it sounds like you could use some more J&B.
Midnight Movie House. The Thing is one of the greatest horror...
Poor Nathan. Poor Nathan.
I'm sorry, Nathan.
He's just so pissed right now. He's so fucking pissed.
This is all your fault for bringing the J&B to the podcast.
I apologize, Nathan.
Minute 40. Just read the
Where's the thing? Take me away.
J&B is the thing, and it's consumed.
This poor guy just wants to
consume this podcast.
All right. Midnight Movie House. The Thing is one of the greatest horror movies ever made and a personal favorite of ours in the Midnight Movie House. The practical effects hold up marvelously and are straight up gross and stunning. On top of that, this movie has it all with Kurt Russell in a giant cowboy hat. I love that fucking hat. And he's wearing sideways a sense of fear and paranoia enhanced by the soundtrack and, of course, aliens. 10 out of 10, without a doubt, a killer rating. Oh, killer.
Killer. Yeah.
Dissect That Film Pod, a practical effects marvel. The cast is perfect, along with the setting. It still holds up as a truly terrifying horror film that never should have failed the way it did back in '82, for sure.
Fuck
For
E.T.
sure. Yeah. Breaking the Ghoul. I love the effects in this movie. I'm just a massive practical effects fan, and even if they don't hold up, in quotes, I still appreciate them more than CGI that doesn't hold up, because you can just tell so much authenticity and heart went behind practical effects. And I think that's super cool to see the work of a group of people, even if it's for a short amount of screen time, for sure. Nick Babs, this is one I watched first during COVID, and I enjoyed every bit of it, from the effects to the score, even the characters. 20 out of 20. Whoa. James Shannon Moran again. John Carpenter's masterpiece, the paranoia on who's the thing and who's not, the atmosphere, the performances, and the mind-blowing special effects. 10 out of 10. 5 stars. Friend of the podcast, Modern Monstrous. This is one of my top 5 movies. It is infinitely rewatchable and is fun to try and play along with the theories about the thing's infection progress through the men at Outpost 31, and whether Mac or Childs or neither or both or neither is the thing. I love the practical effects, and they still got up and are terrifying after all these years later. This is definitely a killer, for sure. Great way to end Modern Monstrous, because that ending, I think, is immortal a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And the Discord, like we've had, should be immortal. I hope it's never revealed who's the thing at the end.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
Thank you all for your comments. We really appreciate them. We got a lot of comments on this movie. This seems like a pretty beloved movie overall, which is awesome.
And if you want to give me a play-by-play at thepaddedroom@outlook.com, why don't you email me your theory? Give me the timeline. I will rewatch the movie. For every timeline I get, I will rewatch the movie and give you feedback as to whether I think that that's accurate or my take on that timeline. So at thepaddedroom@outlook.com.
Before we end the episode, we want to embrace the madness and let you all know what we've been up to. First off, I want to begin by giving a special shout out to the podcast 321 Ghost. Natalie and Kyle over there at 321 Ghost just recently reviewed Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. It was a movie that I recommended them to review as part of their listener requests. And they did that, and they plugged our podcast several times, so we really appreciate it. It was a great episode. I think Behind the Mask, even if, you know, we kind of on our podcast all had different opinions on it, but I think it's a cool movie to kind of get out there to more of the horror community. So I'm super happy they picked it and talked about it and reviewed it. If you want to check out 321 Ghost, I highly recommend them. They are a great listen. They have an Instagram at 321 Ghost. You can also check them out on Spotify, Apple, YouTube as well. So please go and listen. I'm going to bring it up. We all went as the Mouths of Madness to go see Nosferatu as a field trip.
Field
to the
trip.
movie. Yeah, right.
Field trip.
Like with the frizz?
Yeah.
No way.
Magic school bus style.
Right. And we went to Count Orlok's castle, and that was a little
Oh,
terrifying.
very different than the other Magic School Bus rides I've been on.
I mean, not as crazy. There's an episode where they literally go into a kid's body, swim around it. Yeah, that was definitely not a highlight of that show.
I thought Nosferatu overall was a great movie. I think it's a little overhyped for my liking. Like, there seems to be like
Yeah.
a
Yeah, I can
lot
see
of
that.
love for it. And that's awesome. Like, if you love this movie, good for you. I think it was great. I think it was a great watch. Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok is pretty cool to see.
I didn't even realize that Bill Skarsgård was Count Orlok.
You know what else he was? Yeah, you did. He was the Crow. The worst line in cinematic history. I shot you. Yeah, you did.
You know what?
That beats out the It Can't Rain Every Day. I don't know.
Come on, Bearclaw. We're gonna hypnotize you again.
Take you to the sunken place
if you're not careful. Yeah, I mean, my thoughts overall was it's a great movie. I think it's worth a watch, especially if you've seen it in the theater. It is a little long. I think it's a little overhyped. But you know what? As far as Robert Eggers goes, like he has these kind of timepieces down. I thought it was pretty good. Dan, how about you? What have you been up to?
I mean, to your point with Eggers, like I think the hype is well deserved. He's put out banger after banger of every movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I would say though, like out of all of them, like it's probably my least favorite Eggers movie.
Yeah, you said that, and you said that after the movie, and I like 100% agree with you. But that's hard to say because every other movie they made,
it's not to say that it's not a good movie.
It's just
either.
every other one is so damn good.
Yeah.
It's like hard to put like them on a pedestal.
Outside of that, from our dream scenario episode, both Nathan and Bearclaw mentioned like movies that did it better, and one of them that sticks out to me that is one of my favorites that's like dear to my heart is Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind.
Oh man.
If you are not familiar with it, it's about this couple named Joel and Clementine who go through a messy breakup. Clementine decides to go through this procedure where all recognition of Joel and them dating are erased from her conscious memory. And then Joel finds out and decides to also get the procedure done. And the rest of the movie takes place in Joel's head, reliving his relationship with Clementine in his sleep while the service he hired erases her from his memory. He regrets getting the procedure done and attempts to find ways to hide her in the recesses of his other memories. I love this movie. It's a little trippy, it's funny, clever, and it has a lot of heart. It stars Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites of all time. I have a hard time rewatching it though.
Yeah,
just because
it's
so
such an emotional
powerful.
movie.
Yeah.
That's the thing I like about it is it makes you feel things.
Yeah,
all sorts of things.
You're right, man. 100%.
So Nosferatu, I agree with pretty much everything that's been said. I found it to be the weakest of Robert Eggers' movies. It was very good. It's worth like a watch, but I think once you watch it once, you've kind of seen it. I found that like the period and everything, like the costumes, the acting, all of that was like second to none. I guess my biggest gripe with it was I found the end to be very unsatisfying. I think that's where it kind of lost me was, and I won't spoil it for anybody, but you know, watch the movie. I found the end to be unsatisfying. Maybe I'm alone in that, but other than that, that's really all that I've been doing. I read, and again, I'll mention it again. If you like The Thing, I would highly recommend reading, and it's free online. You can find it anywhere. The Things by Peter Watts, where it retells the story of The Thing from The Thing's point of view. And I just think that's absolutely fantastic. And it's very well written. So if you like the movie The Thing, as some of us do, I would highly recommend reading that. That's also what I got into. But Logan, what have you been looking into?
I mean, yeah, I'll touch on it a little bit because we all brought it up. But Nosferatu, and I was really the one who brought it up a lot. That was my most anticipated movie. It didn't disappoint at all. Like, it was a very good movie. Everything about it was great. The atmosphere, the characters, just overall, it was a great movie. Definitely Robert Eggers, like all hits, no misses. I mean, yeah, but like, and again, the unsatisfying ending, expected because that's what he does with all those movies. Every single one of those has like kind of an unsatisfying ending almost. I think sometimes, I mean, I put in my letterbox, like sometimes it drags a little bit and there are a lot of unnecessary shots. Some stuff I didn't agree with, but overall it was a great movie. I think it was really well done. As far as things I have done, besides that, mostly just reading. I've been getting into a lot of reading, not a lot of like actual like books per se, but reading a lot of like screenplays and stuff like that, a lot of horror screenplays, a lot of scripts and stuff that I've been getting into, trying to pursue a novel at some point in time. But yeah, I mean, that's mostly it for me.
Well, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Miles of Madness on your favorite audio platform and YouTube. If you've enjoyed your descent into madness, we would appreciate it if you would rate us 5 stars and leave us a review. You can find us on Instagram at mouse.of.madness. We have a great YouTube channel at Mouths of Madness. Finally, we have our email address. Email Bearclaw at thepaddedroom@outlook.com and let him know what's your favorite John Carpenter movie. That does it for our review on John Carpenter's The Thing. We'll be back soon with another episode, and we're going to be reviewing my pick, John Carpenter's They Live. Yes, John Carpenter January rolls on. But until then, back to the padded room with you.
Oh, hey guys, what's going on? Wait, what's going on here?
Wait a minute.
Wait.
What? There's Stewie?
If you're over there, then who's been talking to us the entire time with the podcast? Who's been giving us the... It makes sense now that John, he doesn't like John Carpenter. It makes sense.
Oh my God.
It makes sense. He's the
He
thing.
was the thing the whole time.
Bearclaw,
Get the
grab...
flamethrowers.
Yeah, I was going to say, grab the flamethrowers.
Get the
Oh
Yeah,
my
we gotta
God.
burn this motherfucker.
Oh my
He
God.
is not the thing.
Ah!